Good afternoon, everyone. I am at a very different time from usual on Tuesday because I have been traveling all day. And so I have no idea if anyone will join me here live, but for consistency's sake, I'm here. It's tea time, and I am out looking over the bay here in California, looking over the Golden Gate Bridge, and I think that's Angel Island. And I thought I would just take a moment and do tea time, whether there's anyone here or not. I will try and be more consistent, but as I travel and I'm on tour and I'm in different countries, we get to be adaptable. That's the fun of life. So today, I just thought I would mention that I am constantly experimenting on myself, on my horses, on my own life. And then the things that work, I share. And then I experiment some more. I'm not an already made master at any of the things I teach. I am an ongoing project. And that is what makes it fun. I think if I already knew all the things that I taught, I would lose interest, and that would be okay, but it would mean that I wouldn't really have the desire to help people in the same way that I do now. So it's good. It's good that I'm on the edge of my learning, the way all of you are on the edge of your learning. I won't be around my horses for the next 7 weeks. I have a couple of weeks with family here in California, and then I will have 5 weeks in New Zealand teaching. And I am excited. I'm excited about all of the groups of people that I get to interact with. I'm excited about all of the communities that I get to learn from. And all of that's good. Do I miss my horses? Yeah, a lot. But one of the principles I teach is you can only want more of something that you don't have enough of. And this traveling to teach routine that I have, where I go away for a month or so, is really a key component to keeping me keen and fresh and interested. The way my brain works is I want to practice more when it's a limited commodity. Now, of course, I will practice as I travel around the world. I'll practice with all sorts of different horses. I'll practice with lots of different students. But it's different. It's different from being home and practicing with my own herd. That's where my deepest work happens. But in going away and learning from other situations, in going away and looking at things from a fresh perspective, I will be able to come back better for my own horses than I left. And I have a pretty structured way that I do this. And I talked about this a little bit in horse training, but it applies to people training too. So when I talk about people training, I'm not really talking about training other people, although that does happen. I'm talking about training me. How do I train me to be the best version of myself so that I can show up and be the best partner for my horses, and then in turn help them become the best versions of themselves? And that project is never done. That is always continuing. So the way I do this is I assess what level of practice I am in each situation. So if I'm in a situation where I don't know very much, I am in an observational practice. I'm just gathering information that I'll use later. As soon as I have enough information, I will transition into a responsive practice. This means I'm going to try and get ahead of problems. And this is with myself as well as my horses. So before I get angry, before I get frustrated, before I get irritated, before I'm too tired, I need to change something. Now, if I'm in the observational phase, I may have to let something bad happen because I had no idea it was going to go badly. I have to observe it, see the pattern, go, oh, that's interesting. I wonder if I could have done something different there if I had known. You have to know first. Once you know, then you start getting ahead of it. What do I need to do so that something bad doesn't happen? And we do this with our horses, but we also do it with ourselves. Once we are in this state where we can be responsive, we can start avoiding the bad things, then we can start playing with an interactive practice. And an interactive practice is how many different ways can I cause something good to happen? Now, one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make is I see them want to skip the observational phase and skip the responsive phase and jump right ahead to the good part. And what happens if you do that is you just don't have quite enough information. And this is where things start to go wrong a lot and people get really frustrated with learning. And so I encourage everybody every day to keep returning to the observational ask. Do I have enough information about this situation to, one, avoid the bad things? If you do, that's great. If you can avoid the bad stuff, then you can start playing with the good stuff. If you're playing with the good stuff and you find that you're creating a lot of bad emotions, a lot of reactionary behaviors, a lot of overwhelm, a lot of fight or flight, and that can be within ourselves as well as within the horses, we've just jumped ahead. We've jumped ahead a little too far. And that's okay. That's okay. That's how we learn. We might drop back and go, okay, let's stop trying to create a lot of good things and just say, can I understand the patterns well enough to avoid the bad things? You're going to get to a point where avoiding the bad stuff isn't hard. You know how to rest on time. You know how to take breaks at the right places. You know how to ask for help when you need help. You know how to avoid the bad stuff. Maybe you're even pretty successful in a pretty wide range of good things. Okay? That's where the assertive practice comes in. The assertive practice is where we start asking others to do things with us. So this is the art of being able to ask for collaboration, for cooperation, for more than one of you to take an action. This is an art, being able to do it and know how to get a yes answer, not resistance or overwhelm or frustration. Hey, Kristen, I'm glad you could make it. Yeah, I'm pretty late today. I was on an airplane at my usual time, so I'm here in California looking out over the bay, and I am better late than never. So a lot of us love to get to the assertive practice. And the assertive practice is where we can ask others to do things with us. Can you go somewhere with me? Can you look at something I'm interested in? Can you do things that I like with me? If you get a lot of resistance, you don't know enough about that situation yet to be in the assertive practice. You got to back down. The really interesting part is there will be a point where you're good at the assertive practice. You're really good at asking others to join you and have it go really well. Then you step into the insistent practice. Now, the insistent and the assertive can be interchangeable a little bit, but that's actually a really interesting place where you start getting comfortable with discomfort. And that's, can you ask somebody to do something they don't want to do and have it go better than they imagined? And that's where a lot of horse training starts. A lot of horse training tries to start right at the insistent phase. And that's why you're going to need a bridle and a halter and a rope and a stick and a flag and a round pen and then a pocket full of high-value food rewards. Those are all things we use for insistent practice. If you take all of that away, you're going to want to build a pretty strong basis of observational, responsive, which is getting ahead of the bad stuff, interactive, which is adding a lot of varieties of good stuff, and then you'll either use your insistent or your assertive, to say, can we do things together? Assertive is stuff that's easy. Insistent is stuff that's a little hard to do, but ends up good anyway. This is going to apply in how we work with ourselves. This is going to apply in how we work with our horses. So I might make myself go for a run tomorrow. I might not want to. The weather might be bad. I might be tired. What's the likelihood that I'm going to get through that and feel better afterwards? That would be an insistent practice. If it's not going to work, I'm not ready for insistence. That would be better that maybe I go for a walk instead. Maybe I go somewhere really beautiful. Maybe I find something that makes it easier. A responsive practice, an interactive practice, or an observational one. This is not just horse training. This is training for all of us. If it's too hard, you won't do it or you'll overreact. Same as the horses. If it's not hard enough, you'll lose interest. We've got to find the sweet spot. Where are we learning and growing and developing without feeling overwhelmed? I like training horses more than people. I like thinking about horses more than I like thinking about my own psychological state. But it all applies. And that's really helpful for me, particularly during these next couple of weeks where I'll be working on the book. I will be away from the horses for a little while. I'll be spending some time with family. I get to work on me for a while. And then hopefully I'm a better version of me when I show up for the horses next. So hopefully that's a little food for thought. Christian says, I started doing a sort of ask in the field about grass. Training in winter it's way easier than in summer. Yeah, absolutely. The circumstances matter. This is why I always start with an observational phase. An observational phase is, how green is that grass? How difficult is it going to be to ask for things around that grass? That's information I need to know before I progress to any more complicated forms of training. So thank you, Christian. I will have a good run tomorrow. I'm actually kind of looking forward to it. So might end up being assertive instead of an insistent. Depends on my frame of mind when I wake up tomorrow. In any case, this is a well-wishing to everyone from California. I will still be here next Tuesday, and I'll let you know how it's all going. Regina says, is insistence a good form of pressure? It seems to me it is. Depends on if you have built a foundation for it, Regina. If you have enough foundation of training to add insistence on top of it, it makes life bigger and better. You realize there's more parts to life that are enjoyable than you might have thought before. So I hope that helps everyone, and I am envious of those of you who are still at home with your herds. I'm going to soak in the contrast and miss my herd and be so, so happy when I get back to them. Thank you. I will see you next Tuesday at a more regular time. We'll probably do our usual 11:30 Pacific time. Have a wonderful day.